Now, this broadcast or these words may never see the light of day because of what I'm about to say.
Ever try to do an online search about Minister Farrakhan or the Nation of Islam, but you end up seeing more results from what the enemy says than you do what the Muslims actually post? Well, that's because the enemies of truth are the ones controlling most social media platforms now. So your search results may get colluded with the same old worn out lies. They're a hate group, they're anti-Semitic, or whatever name they can throw out at us. That's because modern day slave masters control search results to match what they want you to think. We all know they can't face up to the truth spoken by Minister Farrakhan, so the only thing they can do is censor the truth from their platforms.
You know, I was on a program here in New York on Channel 13 in which I made a statement concerning how the Jews control about 80% of the economy in most Negro communities across the country. And the Jews organized themselves and wouldn't let this thing come back on Channel 13.
So just like during slavery, Google, YouTube, and others are prohibiting verifiable facts that point out white supremacy. They call it conspiracy videos, or they call it dangerous when you expose the real culprits of white supremacy with facts and evidence. So you can't even post content that proves the prominent Jewish role in the slave trade, or anything that proves how the enemy controls, manipulates, or kill our people through genocidal racism. But you can post as much foolishness as you please, because that doesn't threaten their systems of racism. Hiding the truth of the Jewish role in slavery and today's oppression makes it easier for white supremacists to maintain their power, control, and influence over world industries. After all, you can't overcome oppression if you don't even know who the oppressors are and how they operate.
The enemy is frightened that it's becoming known that Jewish money controls Congress.
They're so fearful of this truth, even the corporate giant Amazon has succumbed to the pressure and have banned the fact-based books of the Nation of Islam called The Secret Relationship Between Blacks and Jews. Never in recent history have the most powerful groups in the world worked this hard to keep you from reading, researching, and listening to the empowering message of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and his top student, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Notice how Jewish leaders threaten blacks for listening to Minister Farrakhan as though it's a sin for black folks to think for themselves. But they'll promote and distribute material that destroys our communities and will charge anyone with bigotry for saying something about it. Let's recall how in 1832, early American legislators vowed to prohibit this kind of truth from reaching the mind of black people. So these measures to block Farrakhan's online message is just a continuation of their age-old slave-based agenda. Certain Jewish leaders have vowed to block the message of the Nation of Islam from any of the platforms they control, whether it's social media, college campuses, and even from many black churches. Zionist-led groups like the Foundation for Defense of Democracies and the Israel on Campus Coalition and several others work closely with the Israeli government to spy on, smear, and sabotage Americans who speak out against Israel's racism. And they'll use their multi-billion-dollar budgets to hinder truth from reaching your mind. Such leaders have admitted their fear of the truth given by the Honorable Minister Farrakhan because he reveals the most critical and necessary information that frees us from their control.
And America was being taken over by special interests and the power of Jewish money.
Since Black youth are being awakened by this truth and standing for justice, American Jewish and Israeli leaders have now targeted Black youth as Israel's problem.
The major problem of Israel is with the young generation of the Black community.
And they're desperately trying to pass legislation to criminalize Minister Farrakhan, Black people, and anyone who challenges the racist practices and policies of Israel. This is no different from slavery, when they would punish us just for acknowledging how evil slaveholders were. It's literally a battle between good, which are those who stand for true freedom, justice, and equality, versus evil, those who control the means of information that deceive the world. The question is, will you be fooled and succumb to their satanic pressure like cowards? Or will you be wise and bold enough to stand for truth despite the enemy's threats? Like those who stood with Jesus during the most critical hour.